Hello and good morning, guys, and welcome back to Millau. I've taken a little bit of a break from working on this save, and I've been itching so hard to get back, and it's finally time. It's finally time to develop this lot here and get properly started on the city, I guess, or the town of Millau. So, yes, I can't tell you how excited I am for this. So I guess let's just hop into it. Yeah, before I start, I am so eager to start. I almost started instantly, but I've been doing a few other projects. I've not been slacking. I've not been a slacker. I've been doing some other City Skylines projects, but I've been taking a bit of my time, unfortunately, from this. But those are also really nice, and I do believe that you might have, at this point, they might be already on YouTube, so you might even have seen some of them. There's going to be one, I know for a fact. You've seen the bridge build in Fessia on Overcharge Eggs channel, or on their city, I guess, on Fessia, their Australian city. But there might be some others as well, coming very, very soon. I'm super excited. So, yes, that's a weird node. Let's fix that. Ah, okay. And also, that's weird behavior. What's going on? What's going on with my roundabouts? Why are people slowing down? It might not matter so much because we will be doing stuff to this roundabout today, so this is kind of exciting. We'll develop this area. I have initially thought that this area here is supposed to be a high density area, like the first high density area in the town, but I'm not sure about that anymore, because making this high density might kind of... It might be like jumping the gun a little bit and doing it too early. I want to maybe make this a more low density residential area still. I do know that we need population desperately, but keeping this low density might still be the best choice. And we'll try to keep the high density inside of the sort of main ring of the town. I think that could be a good call. And it's also like one of those things, if we make this a low density area, we can like successively like just sprinkle in high density buildings and sort of pretend that it's developed over time and become more and more dense. So like that lore, I really like that lore, and also it kind of looks better doing it that way. It's much harder to do it the other way around, of making it high density as a whole and then sort of de-densifying it instead. It's much easier, I think, to go that way. So let's just keep doing that. That's a good sort of practice, maybe. Like, we're starting low and we're going high, I guess. Okay. Let's start this thing. I'm gonna start this thing in Liveplay because there's something very exciting. We will be placing the first tram tracks, guys, and we'll be placing them using network. Network multitool. Yes. So I didn't know about tram tracks. I thought maybe tram tracks would go much later in this build, in a similar way that I said with the high density, low density thing. Okay. But I just can't resist, and the tram tracks are gonna follow this road here. I was very close to planning to add the trams later, so just build the city and then sort of try to shoehorn the tram in later. Not because I think it's an easier way to do it, I think it's a much worse way and much harder way to do it, but because it's the realistic way in my sort of lore of this tram. This would be a modern French tram system, so it's like been added to a city that didn't have, or at least for a long time didn't have trams. And I don't know, there's some really cool examples of it. I've seen it in many places in France. I'm looking at a lot at Grenoble, in the French Alps. I'm thinking about towns like, I think, Le Mans and Paris. Also have like relatively new and modern tram systems. And to be honest, like, I don't know, it just feels like a very French thing to have very, very new and shiny modern trams that run on a sort of track that's it's often like a lawn of grass. Like, you often have grass between the tracks, which looks very nice. I really like the aesthetic, and coincidentally my own town actually recently just got a tram, and they do the exact same thing. We basically have the French tram, but the French way of tram. So that's going to be it. And now we've placed the first track. So now I think it's a good time to hop into much faster mode here and see what comes out of this area. Hello from the other side of, I guess, recording all of this. This video was relatively quick to make, I thought, in the first time I thought I was finished, but I eventually did kind of a little bit of a rocade in the end. We need to talk about that word, by the way. I did some changes in the end, and it took like 3 more hours. Like, very slight changes. You can hardly notice them, but they took a long time. It was like, the reason why you plan ahead became very obvious. So I did a thing which I call a rocade, which doesn't... I realize it doesn't make any sense in maybe any other language than Sweden and Swedish and a few others, because it's that chess move. It's that one chess move you do when you move your castle and your rook and your king, and they switch places, basically. That's called a rocade in Swedish. I assumed it was a French word. I assumed it was a English word. It's called castling in English. I think it's called rock, just rock in French. And yeah, I need to learn that sometimes not all words I think are English. Or how do you say it? Sometimes I don't know other languages just because I know my own. That's what I'm gonna say. So I do some changes in the end, and I switch some stuff, and that is basically the lore behind this town being called Rocade. This town, or this suburb, is going to be called Rocade, which I understand in French means bypass road or bypass path, which is kind of hilarious, actually. Like, this town is called Bypass, a town called Bypass. It was so funny. I just, you know, it just has sometimes weird names like that just have to stay. It's called, the full name will be like Rocade sur Tarn, because it's on the river Tarn. So that's the full lore about. It's not a town. I need to stop calling it a town. It's a suburb. It's the first suburb in the town, and I'm talking about names, and I'm missing all this amazing roundabout tram action. Guys, we have our first trams. It's so exciting. I really didn't think trams would come so soon. I thought trams were going to like come a lot later, and also I thought I was going to sort of try to do something. I build the core of a city and then add trams afterwards to make it more realistically like they are an afterthought. But I figured that would both be probably harder than even I expected, and also I really, really want to do trams right now, so I couldn't just, you know, resist anymore. I knew I wanted a tram line here. I've thought about this for weeks, or like, yeah, I think I've thought about this about as long as the map has been out. Like, this is a very, very something I've thought about a lot, you could say. So. And this tram line we're creating, it's going to connect to the sort of center of town and the main train station, as well as this industrial area we built in episode 3. And I kind of even built the industrial area with trams in mind. Kind of a little bit thought about it, kind of a little bit by accident. So it fits very well when we get the tram in there anyway. Here you can see I'm creating a underpass or a bridge over the tram line, I suppose. This is one of the main entrances to the new district or suburb, basically. I'm thinking that some of these connections to the main road eventually might get turned into like more of those small roundabouts that we created in the industrial area as well. Because I'm not sure, like, it all depends on like how much traffic we will see on this road in the future. Yeah, I'm just gambling hard with traffic flow and just hoping that luck will save me, as it always does. But I have no idea if this is gonna work out. Like in this episode, we do see quite a lot of traffic at some point. It's starting to be a little bit concerning. I'm not too concerned yet, but it's like a little bit. It's getting closer. So the hope is that I can build a city that is so good for like bike and pedestrian transit or transportation, or like you can get anywhere by bike and by walking. So not as many people would need to use cars, and by that, like in that way, we reduce the traffic. But it's like I'm putting way too much sort of confidence in the City Skylines for this, probably. And also, I've never really played with the what do you call it? I was about to call it unrealistic population mod, the realistic population mod, because realistic population mod makes population more, and that's not maybe a problem in smaller, like less dense areas, but in the downtown that might be a big issue if we don't like really make sure that every attempt is made to make the city very bike friendly and stuff like that. So we do go ahead and add, I guess, basically the first real path network, or like path network. I don't know, like the first real sort of parts of the city's bike path and walking path network in this episode. And I'm really excited about that as well. I'm actually going to start by doing a tunnel here, which I eventually move this tunnel. I build a complete tunnel or underpass here. Very much modeled on like stuff I see like around me where I live. So it's not like necessarily very French, but sometimes these things are pretty universal. Like you have a pretty big through road. This could very well be the Rocade we're talking about. We have a pretty big high-speed road. We don't want to have crosswalks on it. Maybe we build a pedestrian bridge or a pedestrian underpass. And I build both of these types in this episode. So this is like actually kind of, I don't know, not educational. I want to be careful of like taking too much credit or whatever, or like tooting my own horn, I guess. But I show a lot of techniques that I like to use, and I'm really happy about using for creating these pedestrian connections, like, and pedestrian and bike connections, I should say. And it's just something I really love to do, and I think is really it's really good for every kind of player, to be honest. Like, it's good for the detailer who really likes to sort of add these different layers to things. It just makes things so much more realistic most of the time. And also functionality wise, these things are going to be, if these path networks don't work out, our city will break. Like, we're heavily dependent on them to reduce like the traffic and just I guess prevent gridlock in the city. So that's very exciting, and so much of that in this episode, actually. Yeah, and here I start with thinking about where should like the main building in this area go. We don't really do a lot of plopping of buildings in this episode, not as much as you could expect. We actually go ahead and use zoning to get all the buildings in this area. So that's pretty nice. We're starting to use zoning, and it worked out really nice here. The way I like to use zoning is I I zone, I guess first. Like I zone everything. And then I go around and look at it and say like, nah, that looks stupid. I'm gonna delete it. Or like, I don't know. I call it like zoning with moderation. And with moderation, I mean like the way that like a Discord would be moderated or something like that. Like, I'm gonna say nah, never mind. Not that building is not acceptable. We're gonna delete it, or we're gonna ban that building, or you know, we're gonna kick that building or something like that. I don't know. By the way, guys, join the Discord, I guess. Yeah. I was thinking about the second, like, should I put another one of those high schools here? Nah, maybe not. It's a bit too much. But I do place like a elementary school, a basketball court, and a football field. One of the new football fields by Bad Peanut. And this becomes kind of a, not necessarily the school complex, but like, you know, kind of, a lot of the time these things are co-located, like very, very near each other, even though they're not really related. At least I feel like that, so. Also put a fence around the school to make it a little bit more, I guess, like there's a schoolyard. Maybe there's like young children in the school and they maybe need a fence to not wander off into somebody's backyard or into the river or something. I don't know. Schools, yes, schools usually have fences, even for older kids, to be honest. So here, yeah. Oh, here's a fun thing actually I can talk about. Yeah, I'm doing the donut van test. The donut van test is, will a donut van fit underneath this bridge? If it fits, it's fine. If it doesn't fit, I have to either lower the underpass or raise the bridge over so that we can get a donut van to fit. I'm not even sure the donut van is the tallest vehicle in the game, but it's the most funny tall vehicle that it's the one I typically use for it, so it's the one I think about, so that's just how it goes. I think maybe the bug spray van, for example, which is another pretty silly looking asset, might be higher, so, or taller. Yeah, here I go ahead and place some of these playgrounds. I don't know how, I hardly remember, how much did we talk about Bob and the random selection of like random tree group in Bob? We might not have talked about that so much before, but I have played around with it a little bit more. I've been like inspired by Chameleon to sort of test it out a bit more, and I've created a random Bob sort of palette with all like small similar sized small trees that you can find like in a garden or something like that. And like as I said, I created a random group of them in Bob, which is super useful because that means you can just replace any tree in any building of that same size with the random selection, which means instead of just one type of tree, you can basically just maximize the randomization, which is something I really like to do anyway. Like, more random, more better in general. And right in this episode, I do figure out that I can actually use that on roads as well. Like, so I'm often bothered a little bit like how all these trees, when you upgrade them like that, they're all the same. Like they all look the same. And here, like, nah, whatever, or whatever. What about we bob it? Yeah, look. Yeah, we don't even need to do anything special for it. Just bob the network and replace the default tree with the random selection of those. And here I'm going through, I don't know why I'm going through the menu of creating this with the idea that, oh, you can probably see what I'm doing here if I'm slowing this and moving my mouse around. But basically Bob lets you create a random group, and then you can sort of replace anything with items from that random group, and it's genius. It's so good. I don't know. It feels like I'm getting deja vu. Have I been in this place before? I might have. Yeah, I might have talked about that in our other episode. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a while. As I said, I've not been slacking, or at least I don't think I've been slacking. I've been doing a lot of other City Skylines videos and the projects, but and when you are watching this, my guest build in Overcharged Eggs Fessia series will have aired, I suppose, and let me know what you thought about that. Is it fun to see that kind of stuff? Because I might have more similar style videos lined up, but I'm really curious to hear what you think. Like, do you mostly care about this map, this city, or do you want to see like those other builds on other maps also from time to time? It was, if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend it. Like, it's probably my favorite video. Probably my favorite build I've ever done in a video anyway. It's just so incredible. I finally get to do like a proper sort of monorail track bridge video, and that, I mean, I've done one before, but it was a very, very simple one. This and I built so much more as well, and I get to sort of really help develop this map of Overcharged Eggs, so I can really get to sort of put my touch on it. Like, it just felt so fun. I got so carried away with it. It was extremely fun, and it took longer than recording these episodes do. I get very sort of I notice I get very anxious because it needs to be perfect, you know, especially when you're doing it for somebody else. It's just a completely different thing, which is very comforting being back here. Now it's like, yeah, it doesn't really matter that much if it's perfect. I mean, I'm still a perfectionist, and I will still get very sad if it's not perfect, but you know, it's mostly for me now. Like, I don't know, it just feels easier this way. I don't know. And I completely missed a big thing. I was copy pasting a IMT tram station preset that I've made in the past. There's another video I did last year on that. You can find it on my channel. It's called like IMT Ultimate IMT Train Station Tram Guide or something along those lines. And yeah, basically I go through how you can use IMT to create really interesting tram infrastructure and train infrastructure as well. So now I just basically placed or copy pasted what I did back in those days, back in 2022 and copy pasted it here. So I'll show that station a little bit more later probably, and I copy paste another one, and also you'll see it in the cinematic. So it's not a complete loss. It's not a complete failure, even though I often struggle to keep up with myself in these videos. I'm trying to tell you guys what's going on and what am I doing and why am I doing it. Yeah. Here I figure that I thought we only needed residential, but it seems like we still have a commercial demand. I'm not sure what to do to make of it. I think it's a bit more complicated. I think we have like very lacking education still. We don't have a university or anything like that. So it's not just that we need workers. We definitely need a lot of workers, but we need highly educated workers more than anything right now. So getting some kind of higher... I'm not ready for the university or for the proper university build. I have so many plans for that, but I'm not ready for that yet. So it'll probably be a smaller scale, just sort of investment in higher education that we can... so we can move on from the issues. So We do go ahead and in this episode actually like basically double the population on the map. So this is a pretty large increase from around 500 to around 1,000. It's makes a dent on the sort of lack of workers issue, but as I said, it's probably also very much related to the skill level. So we'll have to we'll have to see how it goes with that in the long run. I mean, I have some plans. We could just place down like the European university building isn't even that ugly. Like it fits very well into this this style of the build anyway. So we could place it near where the central train station is now, and maybe move it, or where the central train station is going to be, and then move it when we need to. Oh yeah, and here I'm copy and pasting this move it, or like this IMT train tram station thing again. The neat thing about IMT is it becomes completely procedural, so you can just sort of curve the station, you can slope it, you can make it shorter, you can make it longer, which I did there. You can do pretty much anything to it. It's like, it's almost scary what it lets you do. Yeah, watch that video if you're interested to learn how to do that yourself. I'll probably go into it eventually when we get more into the central train station of this build, because I will be using a few of the same techniques there. It becomes a little bit tedious to make these. It can take quite a long time with sort of aligning all the props. It's basically just using a lot of prop lines in IMT, because you can overlap however many prop lines you want. So I think this tram station has something like a total of maybe 21 prop lines in the segment. So in total, not that many props, but there's a lot of prop lines, so it becomes a little bit complicated. Yeah, here I'm doing an underpass, which I eventually go ahead and change, because I figure this is not making a whole lot of sense. We're making an underpass, and then we will have to climb up the hills anyway, so the whole reason why this underpass, or this sort of crossing, exists is because the tram won't climb up the hill. The tram is where it is, but there's going to be residential areas up here, up on the other side of the train line, and it would be completely very silly. You know, it would be very silly if we didn't connect this high capacity transit option to that area when they're so close to each other, and when we can do so with a simple pedestrian bridge like this. So this is something I recommend like you do as well. Like it's really helps. You can see the sort of the help it does, or like the increase in ridership, and I suppose also the decrease in traffic because of it. It's just like a very, very smart and sane common sense thing. I guess I really like to a lot. It's easy to forget about it though. Don't get me wrong, but it's easy to miss it, especially if you're not used to playing the game. I mean, quite as nerdily as I am, but it's like just such a. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just very excited about this pedestrian overpass. Okay, I'm playing around with Node Controller to make this. How do you call it? Like this ramp has a level section in the middle. It just makes it look a little bit more interesting and realistic. I can't really explain why. I don't know why they would have these ramps in real life, but I've seen it. I've definitely seen it with my own eyes. It might be something so that like it's not a consistent very, very long downhill. Maybe it's something like a safety concern for like if you're using a wheelchair, for example, or if you're just rolling down with a a baby stroller or something like that. And it really makes it look more interesting as well. And the sharp angles on it, all those things make it more realistic in my book anyway. And here I go, oh, and here comes the sort of the tramification of the industrial area. And we actually go ahead and add a bridge at the end of this road. So we end up connecting up the two different sides of a river in quite a few different ways. We don't really continue and do anything on the other side, but we have prepared for the future with this build. Much more than I had expected, actually. I don't know yet what will go on the other side. This could be like literally the end of town, and I'm also considering maybe just doing a tram turn around here in the industrial area. But it feels a little bit of a shame when it went so far. Oh my god, I'm thinking about Linkin Park now again. Oh no. And I can't remember the lyrics, and I'm probably not going to sing it anyway, but in the end it doesn't even matter. Yes, because in the end, I have no idea, guys. I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is way too long of a time lapse. Nervous laughter. Basically what's happening is, like, we're creating a bridge over the river. The tram might just end, like terminate on the other side. It might also continue. We might have some sort of small town or small village where the tram sort of goes out a bit outside of the otherwise town limits or city limits and ends there. But it's prepared for the future, which is something I'm really excited about. So hopefully it's going to make it easier to decide that whenever that decision gets to be made. So I'm also really liking that I'm deleting some of the detailing we did in that store, the store and gas station near the entrance to the industrial area. Feels a little bit of a shame to delete those trees that I detailed for so long, it seemed, but I'm really happy with how it turns out. It turns out much better. Spoiler alert. Now it kind of makes sense. Like the shapes and everything, it just looks good. I don't know. I really like how this tram line sort of snakes its way in here. And I do also add a path next to the tram line. So there will be a bike path going to the industrial area from our new district, and also continuing downtown. So basically following the river, where everything along the river in this episode will have a path. And just makes sense. Maybe that's why my tram ridership in the end is so bad, actually, because the path is just too good. Yeah. We'll get there. Once we get some high density in the city, I'm sure like everybody's gonna take the tram to get here to the industrial area. It's just way too useful. I should say I'm using the propless park life paths again. Great assets. Because when you're creating paths like this, you don't necessarily always want just a lot of benches or lights. I'd prefer to go in and add them manually or in some other way. Maybe even with Bob. Bob lets you add props to stuff as well, so I could theoretically even go in and add it with Bob. But we'll see about that. There is also the possibility that in some of these paths where we're currently only using the park life path, I can go in and with network multitool and overlap the path with a bike lane, a proper bike lane, and that should make more people want to use it for biking also. So I don't mind having the the walking path and bike paths overlapped, because that's basically how they are in many cases in real life, at least where I live. I mean, technically they are separated, but it's, I don't know, it's very seldom a real problem, I think. Oh, I don't know. I think like bike, like, oh, I'm getting on a tangent. I'm getting on my bicyclist should be anarchist tangent. No, but like the less strict the rules and sort of the regulations are for like where you're supposed to bike and stuff like that, and my theory is that it will both become safer and more attractive. Like, we're not supposed to like make a legal framework for it. Exactly, here is where you bike. You got to act like a car. You need a driver's license before you can bike. I think that would ruin everything, and that's just bad policy that leads to less biking, and I guess like might as well take the car, you know. Like it's the same kind of stuff I have to worry about. And whereas, I mean, it might be safer as well, is basically it becomes less predictable. Like if you're, for example, you know, if you're a regular driver in a car in an area, like you drive your car, and you know that bicyclists, they don't always, you know, follow the rules the most strict as possible. Like, that's gonna make you more careful and more observant, is the theory anyway. Like, yeah, guys, I might be completely bonkers with these ideas, by the way, but this is just like my thoughts about it, and I don't claim to be right or anything, but yeah, I bike a lot. I like to bike, or I don't really bike for liking it. I like to be able to bike for doing everything. I like to bike to the store. I like to bike to school. I like to bike to work or whatever. Like all my daily trips, I want to be able to take them by bike, because it's just more enjoyable, and it's such a less stressful way of traveling than having to jump in the car and do everything. So yeah, I'm not one of those. I'm not one of those. You know, crazy bike outfits. I've never worn one of those bike outfits. I'm not a crazy person like that. I just want to be able to do all the shit I normally do on bike. Oops, I guess I swore there. I'm sorry guys. I just want to be able to like go around and do all the daily stuff by bike. It's just so much better. Save so much money as well. Just gas, insurance, having your car inspected and like up to specs and all that stuff, and just so many headaches that if you can reduce like just a few of those costs, that's also like really nice, and it relieves my anxiety, I guess, about things. So yeah, I'm probably going to talk more about biking when we do maybe some more biking stuff, but yeah, here we have that riverside bike path / pedestrian path. Don't really detail it up here, but I'm open to detailing it up, maybe like by painting it or doing something like that. I know, like, I don't know if there is any sort of French standard for how bike lanes are painted. I really don't know. Maybe I should look into that. I know everybody knows the Dutch bike paths are red. The bike paths in City Skylines, or the bike lanes on roads, are sort of a green-blue cyan kind of color, which I don't mind. It looks a little bit boring. I'd prefer them to be red if I could, but yeah. there's some options. There's some options, definitely. But whatever happens with that, I think that's going to be a later issue. I'm not really too concerned with that right now. We typically don't paint, I should say that, we typically don't paint bike paths at all in Sweden, so they're very seldom painted at all here. Or ever, really. Usually just lines, outlining lines and curbs and stuff like that. And I think that's fine too. Doesn't have to be so complicated. Like, once again, like, the more you make things complicated and like strict, I don't know. It feels a little bit more like you're controlling the access to it. You're limiting. You're just limiting people a little bit at a time, right? By painting your bike lanes. Oh my god, so unhinged. So unhinged today. Yeah, so I've obviously ran out of stuff to say, but I mean, so is also the time lapse. So we're getting there, guys. I am doing trees. I am doing bushes. That's usually a sign of I'm starting to feel close to done. Eventually, like, large parts of this area have to be redeveloped because of the rocade or the castling that I do later. I don't even know if I say, but I should probably mention that what that is about. You see, there's one underpass going inland from this area, a road, and there's one place where the road connects to the highway. Yeah, next to the tram stop there. I do end up turning this around, so this one here is actually an underpass eventually, and the other one connects to the road. I thought that connection to the main road was a little bit close to the roundabout and intersection, so it was like potentially traffic issues to come if we kept it like that. And also just looked more symmetrical, like spacing the junctions out a bit more. And we also get tram access for the other side of the main road by having an underpass. So it all just kind of small things came together, and it made sense to do it that way. In the live play, you can sort of hear my reaction, I guess, and you can hear me figuring that out and deciding, yeah, I need to do this. But I don't go ahead and show that part. That's not in the video. That was, I get a bit like, I used my productive quick building energy for this part, and then I kind of went into nerd mode and just got stuck on the details for a few more hours. So please don't hate me. I don't show the switching of stuff, but it looks pretty much the same. The district looks pretty much the same. It's yeah. This is still the build. It's just that it turns out it just gets rotated or mirrored a little bit. It just gets switched up for the better, I think. It's a really good switch. So. Oh, and here I go in and select. I actually get trams running by placing a depot and some loops, and I'm using the 105 capacity tram, which is my favorite. I made a video where I rated the trams last year, and this was my favorite. I'm so happy to finally make this the tram of this city also. Yeah. There's plenty of IMT, TMP, and node controller stuff I'm probably not showing as well, but I'm showing like some small parts. Like here I'm creating a crosswalk to the tram stop, which I do end up using this as a template for other crossings over the tram, but not here. I'm thinking in the next episode I want to talk a little bit more about like how to simply detail up the trams and make them sort of a little bit
a little bit more to par, or like a little bit higher standard. So expect like a little bit more about that in the next episode, I think. Yeah, but I have some other plans about the next episode that might be a little bit different. It might be a little bit more of a tutorial style episode. So as it feels right now, I have this sort of grand plan of trying to record and edit 2 episodes in one day. I'm so far almost all the day in, and I have done almost 1 episode, but we'll see. Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's 50%, 50%. It's some kind of progress, I suppose. Yeah. I believe this is very near the end now, guys, so I will check out and check back in with you in the live play.
So I think pretty much that sums up the build. That's pretty cool. Like, we have a new residential area, like a really nice suburb, but still like not the highest effort. Like, this is pretty casual stuff. I like it. I really liked building this. We used zoning to sort of just get the buildings in here, and I didn't have to change that much. I deleted some buildings, I put in some buildings where the zones wouldn't allow us to grow, and I guess we'll have to do that downgrade trick once. Just maximum level, let's do 1. The random spawn level is really useful. Oh, no, not like that. Okay. Because it really creates more variation in the stuff that will grow as well. So there's a bunch of... There's probably some more fixing to be done, like the terraforming here. Doesn't really flatten in all places. Maybe I go over that and fix it a little bit, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with this build. Why is their house growing on? Okay, that was weird. Why does this house have no... Oh. Because of the slope here, I'm actually considering, like, maybe we redo this specific row just so the hedges don't do that clipping thing on the cliff. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Just expect some small changes. It's good. Get some buffer to the tram line. And we have our trams. This is so great. Oh my god, there. Somewhere around there will probably be the thumbnail. That's just too good. Another thing I would love to do is I would love to show, like, as an appendix to this video, I would love to show the way I like to do cul-de-sacs. And we have this very practical dead-end road that used to have... initially, like, this was the bike path. This road sort of transitioned to a bike path. And I really liked that. I want to use that method in other places, but in this case I want to turn it into a cul-de-sac instead, because the sort of this route for a bike path just makes much more sense with everything else in mind and how this path connects all the way up to the industrial area. It's like a super useful connection, and I mean, I know it's not a bike path, it's just a park path, but people will bike on it. We might boost the biking by just adding a overlapping bike path to it as well, and we might change the color in IMT to make it look better, look more like a bike path, but connect up. Okay, no more thinking about that. I'm gonna show, like, just how I like to make cul-de-sacs. It's very easy. I've showed it before while building, but I haven't really talked about it so much. So what I like to do is I like to have like a road of the thinner variety, like kind of this road here is a good one, the road with grass, or the this road here as well, whatever it's called, the wide sidewalks, yeah. And then I just take the 2-lane road, the normal basic road, and drag out the smallest segment. I select the node I created, like this. I press Ctrl H and align it to height to the other node like that. And then I just move it in pretty close, not too close. And you can create a cul-de-sac of different varieties. You can create a sort of asymmetrical one like that. You can create one that does something like so. Here I'm thinking maybe I should actually push this whole thing just a little bit back, because this slope we had going here doesn't need to really exist anymore. So I'm gonna select this guy again and just move it out of the way for now, and fix the slope. Fix the slope of the buildings as well for now. And yeah, maybe here somewhere. Or like we even go down that way and do a... Yeah, let's do that instead. I didn't really think so much about this, but I guess will be a little bit of a longer video because of it. I'm really happy with how... Like, it still feels very quick. Like, it doesn't feel like it was a long time recording or building this. By my standards, that is. I'm so sorry for taking up half your day with this video yet. But something like that. That way, this cul-de-sac also connects to the bike path, which is, I think, is a nice touch sometimes. Creates a useful connection. I think it should be a curved road. Do I like it how it curves quite like that? No, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not, but also why not? I'm really sort of telling myself when doing this like a lot. Don't worry about it, it's fine. Don't worry too much about the details, because I have a really hard time sort of not worrying about the details, but I'm really doing my best to not get too stuck on the small things. I think I'm getting a little bit better, but yeah. It's a work in progress. Bear with me. Okay, so yeah, maybe we have to place because the actual park asset has a footprint that's large. Let's just make the path go there instead. Yeah, why not? Instead of bobbing out the lights. Yeah. And is it still gonna be inside of area? Yeah, good. And of course, with the cul-de-sac as well, I like to go in TMP and remove the crosswalks from it, because I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, you do need a mod called hide TMP crosswalks or something like that. Hide crosswalks TMP. It's a great mod. It basically just removes the crosswalks when you disable the crosswalks in TMP. So that's a really nice mod for that, but you don't really need it. As many mods, they're nice, but you don't really need any, I think. I am considering, but I'm not going to do that in this video. I am considering changing it up so that instead of this being the sort of main connection to the road, having that be here instead, and basically do a rocade. Rocade? That's kind of cool, actually. That's a chess term. I'm gonna like, okay, finish the sentence, Teddy. God damn it. This one here moves over here, like there's underpass, and the connection to the main road moves over here. That should be great for traffic flow, because that means this connection to the main road is not so close to the roundabout, and also basically right in between the next two crossings here, and doesn't really need to be here. There's nothing really making it necessary to put it here. An underpass here is great. It means like even better access to the tram station from the other side. Yeah, okay, I'm convinced it has to happen. I'll keep recording, but maybe you get a second time lapse. Maybe it's just the end of a video. I'm gonna call it at the end of the video for now, and just we'll see what happens when when I go back and edit this. So if you like this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Or yeah, I'll talk to you next time anyway. Yeah, no more talking in this video. Okay, bye guys.